let's go, dude. Let's talk about some serious business. You know what I'm saying? Like, we're talking about two of the potentially biggest events in combat sports history, and both of them potentially having two fights attached to them. Very exciting. I'm going to let everybody get on real quick, but in case you guys did not see the thumbnail, we are going to be talking about the Jon Jones and Jon Jones and Tyson Fury potential two-fight deal that's getting talked about, one in boxing, one in MMA, and the Deontay Wilder and Francis Ngannou two-fight deal that is absolutely in conversations. I can verify that personally, where they're going to do one fight in PFL and one fight in boxing. And I think that the conversation that really needs to happen is around how much more likely each of these things becomes as a result of the other one, right? You got one negotiation going on and everybody knows it. You got another one going on. Everybody knows it. The two sides are competing against each other. You know what I mean? And it's like, you think about a lot of, there's like a lot of historical references for this where, you know, maybe this wouldn't have happened or that wouldn't have happened had it not have been for the other side trying to do it. And it drove people to do, you know, to like do the impossible, things that wouldn't have happened. The number one example probably being nuclear weapons, you know, like if you really look at how, especially the hydrogen bomb, you know, you're like, explain to me what possible reason we need to build a hydrogen bomb that could just evaporate like 5 cities. They're all because the Russians might do it. You're all right. And the Russians are like, and the Americans might do it. You're like, I mean, is this really something we need to do? That's a bad example. This is a great example. This is a fantastic example. Do you know what I mean? It's like, so let's just start with, I kind of want to tell this entire story, you know, in terms of like the genesis of this entire thing and how all of this came to be, because, you know, basically like, well, let me think about how to start this thing. Actually, hang on. I got to do this really quick before I forget, because if I don't, I will forget, and that would be a catastrophe. Let's do that. And where are we going here? And boom, boom, boom. Okay, done. All right. So the way that this starts, I am going to leave this one up. Cool. So the way that this starts is Francis Ngannou fights through his contract, right? I mean, or he gets towards the end of his contract. He doesn't re-sign before the Stipe fight. He has 2 fights left on his deal. He does not re-sign before the Stipe fight. He wins the title. He only has 1 fight left. We all know this whole saga happens, but what's important to note is that throughout the entire final year of him being under UFC contract, the driver behind him not signing with the UFC, at least one of the main reasons he didn't, is because they had the Tyson Fury fight in the wings. They're negotiating with Tyson Fury to do a crossover fight. And the money behind that is so astronomical that, I mean, it's a huge motivator for them. They're like, all right, well, so they're looking at UFC contracts and they're going, all right, well, this is good money, is great money, but over here is astronomical money, and this is what we're setting up to do. So as he gets toward, you know, we all know what ended up happening. He separated with his management for a while. He's back with that management now. Things are back on the. I mean, literally, what did I say about that? What did I say about that? I was like, you can't do this without your team. Cannot do this without your team. Cannot do this without your team. He puts his team back on, and now they're negotiating with Deontay Wilder to do a 2-fight deal. What did I say? Right? I said it all along. I was like, it's one thing to try to go, you know, he did a good job with the PFL deal, but the boxing thing is a whole different animal. You can't do it by yourself. Now they're negotiating to do a 2-fight deal with Deontay. Obviously, that was a great decision to put his team back on. Okay, so But when Francis gets to free agency, now the UFC has a very heavy vested interest to make sure that that does not happen, right? And so when you hear that, oh, wow, now Dana is talking to Tyson Fury, you're like, wait, what? So they must be just trying to take that fight from Francis. So that makes perfect sense. Now, I did not, honestly, God, dude, when they started talking Tyson Fury, Jon Jones, this is where my brain went. I'm like, all right, so this is just defense that they're playing against Francis getting the Tyson Fury fight. The likelihood of it actually happening is probably pretty slim, but not impossible, because it would demonstrate that the UFC, they're the big dogs on the block. They can put any fight together. You want to do a super fight, you got to do it with the UFC. It sends a very powerful message. Jon Jones is a big enough star that you can justify it without setting precedent where all of a sudden every single fighter is expecting to do some kind of super fight, because he's kind of like Conor McGregor. He's the greatest fighter of all time. And, that is what it is. So like there's a very logical train of thought where the UFC can try to put together a Tyson Fury, Jon Jones fight without it being a huge problem, right? So there's that. Then out of nowhere, Deontay Wilder is at the PFL and he's talking about fighting Francis in a 2-fight deal. And you're like, wait, what? You know what I mean? Like this, he's not like just tweeting about it. It's not Francis talking about it. It's Deontay Wilder personally at the PFL event being interviewed by PFL people talking about fighting Francis both in boxing and in MMA. And you're like, what is happening? I look into it. It's real. Obviously, the teams are talking to each other. They're negotiating. They are really, for real, putting this fight together. This is really happening. This is actually happening. They are for real. Deontay Wilder, Francis Ngannou, for real negotiating to make this fight happen. So, or these 2 fights happen. So you find that out. And then now the following week, after that happens, Jon Jones is now coming out. Well, first of all, Dana came out and said it makes no sense for these guys to go fight these guys in boxing. He's like, it makes no sense. We're not doing boxing. It makes no sense. It makes no sense. Right? Then the Deontay thing happens. And then Jon Jones comes out and says, I will fight Tyson Fury, even if we have to go do it in boxing. And then so he starts floating the Tyson Fury, Jon Jones 2-fight deal, also one in MMA, one in boxing, yada yada. So this is going to happen. One of them is going to happen. One of them is going to happen, dude. One of these 2 super fights is going to happen, man. Huzefa, thank you very much. What's up, brother? This whole story is wild. Thanks for the update. You're the man. Everyone subscribe. Thank you very much. I agree with all of that. It is wild, and everyone should subscribe, and everyone should also like this video if you haven't yet. So I want to address this really quick. The only way Francis wins is by wrestling. That's and I'll tell you exactly why. What do you think is going to happen the first time that Francis kicks his leg? It's going to hurt real bad. He will have to get pretty close to kick his leg, and then he's going to have to deal with, Tyson Fury straight punch. I mean, these guys, it's not like these guys don't present serious problems in MMA. Well, actually, what am I talking about? Jon Jones is fighting Tyson Fury. What am I talking about? Wait, hold on. The only way Francis wins by wrestling. Okay, sorry. You were talking about Deontay Wilder. Let me rewind that. Same thing, but Deontay Wilder. Same thing, but Deontay Wilder. So like Francis is going to kick Deontay Wilder's legs, and that is going to hurt very, very badly. Jones will submit Francis like Gane, ridiculous. Francis's wrestling is 100 times better than Cyril Gane's. Cyril Gane, his grappling is what Francis's was when he fought Stipe the first time, and then focused like enormous amounts of time on his grappling every single week since then. And then when he fought Stipe the second time, you obviously could see the improvements. It wasn't even close. So, yeah, I mean, this entire story is absolutely bananas. Man, if one of these things seriously, when one of these things materialize, it's going to be, I don't even know. I don't even know. Like, I want you to honestly imagine the feeling you're going to have as Deontay Wilder walks down the aisle, getting prepared to fight Francis Ngannou in MMA. It's going to be bananas, dude. It's going to be absolutely bananas. And even more so. And I hate to say even more so because, like I'm absolutely rooting for France. Honestly, I'm rooting for everybody. I'm rooting for everybody. I'm rooting for every single person. All of them. I want both these fights to happen. I want everyone to make money. I want all these fights to happen. But if I'm being honest, putting myself in the position of a viewer, getting prepared for, one of them, I think Tyson Fury walking into the UFC octagon, I'm going to die. I'll be so excited. I'll be so excited I'll be insanely excited for both. The boxing matches, I'll be excited for the guys that are going to make the money, but like, I don't know, like in MMA that there is this like feeling of like, I don't really know what's going to happen here. Like, I don't really know what's going to happen. If you really think about it, it's like, it's Tyson Fury, dude. He's 6'9". Now, actually, in that fight, Jon Jones is just going to grapple him and strangle him. I mean, that's inevitable. That one is inevitable. In the Deontay Wilder and Francis one, it's like, dude, I mean, I think Francis is going to win. I think that he'll win. But I just think that Francis is more likely to stand and trade with Deontay than Jones is to stand and trade with Tyson Fury. Jones is going to do to Tyson Fury exactly what he did to Cyril Gane, or else he's insane. He's utterly insane. Hang on. Fury's not 6'9". Dude, everyone, like a couple people said that to me, and I am, hold on. We're going to put this to bed right now. That is what I thought. Hey, Jesse, would you say a stat if you weren't sure? Nope, I wouldn't. No, I would not. 6'9", dude. I told you. Fury is 6'9". Anyway, Deontay Wilder is 6'7". So, yeah, I mean, I don't know. Like, my opinion, I guess also depend. I mean, there are other things that it varies on, right? Like on how they fight in MMA. I don't really understand why in every single scenario, I don't know why in every single scenario they have them boxing first. You know what I mean? Why you got to box first? Why don't you come to UFC and fight there first, and then you go box, right? Go take your fucking medicine, and then we'll go box, Take your medicine, and then we'll go box. Oh, look at this. Go on timeout then, bitch. I think I'm going to unsubscribe. Bye. You're on timeout. Go think about what you did. Pussy. Anyway, I'm just kidding. That's why I only put you on timeout and didn't block you. I'm just breaking your balls. You broke my balls. I'm breaking yours back. Pussy. So no one's going to be able to box after a UFC beating. I don't know. Like, again, you know what I want to do, honestly? I want to think about all of these matchups. Like, okay, so Francis fights Tyson Fury. How does that go? Francis fights Deontay. How does that go? Jones fights Deontay. Jones fights Tyson Fury. Okay, so I think that in the event that they do boxing first, you have to assume that the boxers in all scenarios win by knockout, right? I think that there is a chance that Francis could beat Deontay in boxing if he catches him, right? That could happen. Francis could beat Deontay in boxing. It just that could happen. That's the most likely scenario where an MMA fighter wins in boxing, right? And I think the most likely scenario of the boxer winning in MMA would be it's definitely Ngannou that loses. So it's Ngannou who wins in boxing is the most likely. It's also Ngannou who loses is the most likely in MMA to one of those guys. just because Jones's grappling is so ridiculous. Like there's this, he's just gonna wrestle them. He'll destroy them, right? But I'm trying to think of who is more likely to beat Francis in MMA. I can't decide. It's like Tyson Fury is so big and he's so long that like if you stand in front of him even for a second, he can start you. He's really strong. I think he's actually moves pretty well for how big he is. You know, you get him to where he's strong in the clinch, just some basic takedown defense and basic technique where he gets underhooks and then he can circle out and then you can't get him on the ground and then he knocks you out. I think that Tyson Fury, certainly has a chance in that fight. Deontay Wilder's chances are, in my opinion, probably lower because he's not as strong. He's not as big. He's faster, but, I don't know. I think it would be like, but like, because the thing is even on the feet, Francis in an MMA match has a big advantage over Deontay because he'll just kick his legs, dude. He'll just kick his legs out. And Tyson can just, I don't know, man. Tyson's because I know Deontay's 6'7", Tyson Fury 6'9". It's not that big of a difference, but Tyson Fury's straight punches are ridiculous, dude. Are ridiculous. So even if he's only punching, he can hit you from so far away. I don't know. Willie Carney, thank you very much for the super chat. Good sir. They want to box first so they can pull out of the MMA fight. If they win, excuse will be no reason to fight. I've already beat him. Exactly. I don't like it. I agree with you, dude. I don't like it. I don't like them, making it boxing first. Like, man up, dude. Do the cage fight first, and then we'll do boxing. Take your medicine, and then go box. The thing is, I think Francis wants to box. As a matter of fact, I know he does. I don't even know why. Like, I already know for 100% sure Francis wants to box first. So, it is what it is. I'm sure Jones doesn't. I'm sure Jones doesn't. And I agree with it. Yeah, and Ngannou will maul these guys on the ground for sure. If he decides to shoot, you know what I mean? Peso Studios, what's up, dog? Yeah. I don't know. Why do you guys keep saying this? Why do you guys keep, I don't understand. He is 6'9". Hang on. Let's see this. So they say fans call out Tyson Fury. Say, dude, you guys understand that like the angles of videos are like, I mean, this is just one random picture, dude. Like, let me, okay, hang on. Let me show you something here. Okay. Let's go to my Instagram and do this. Where is it? See, look, I'm way taller than Josh Fabia. I'm just kidding. That's photoshopped. Where is it, dude? Where the hell is it? Dude, I don't post this much. There it is. Right? So here's me and Anthony Smith. Okay. This looks like we're kind of similar height, right? I mean, I know he's got his knee on a thing, but he's standing pretty straight on his other foot. Okay. I'm 5'10". He's 6'5". Okay. Like, I cannot stress enough how misleading this photograph is compared to how much bigger he is than me in actual real life. There is no comparison, like if we took so I'm just saying like that, just one photograph, like he and I look like we're almost the same size. He is so much bigger than me in real life. It's ridiculous. Taller and bigger. I mean, so I don't buy into that. Like there's that one picture, whatever. It's not a bad example. Have you ever met him in person? He's enormous, dude. You guys are going to tell me how tall he is? Come on, dude. Ridiculous. I think he's 6'5". He might be 6'4". Oh, yeah. All right. 6'4". Whatever. Nonetheless, dude, he's 6 inches taller than me. You know, does this look like a person who's 6 inches taller than me? No, but he actually is in real life. Anyway, it's neither here nor there. How would you guys know how tall Tyson Fury is? I don't understand. Have you ever met him? Okay, so let's see. This is a fact, dude. I did, and I was the only one. We can talk about that again if you guys want. But I actually let's actually talk about not that I predicted it, but just let's talk about that fight, because again, you know what? I know the majority of you picked Beneil Dariush, and I'm genuinely curious what people saw that made them think that he was going, like, why was everyone I don't understand. Like, why was everyone so confident that Beneil Dariush was going to win? That it was so obvious to me, the mismatch on the feet. That's what it was. Like that, like I just looked at it. This was not a hard fight to handicap for me, because it was like, okay, name a time, and I'm seriously asking, like, name a time where two guys who are known as the absolute most elite grapplers in the UFC fought against each other, and one of them had some big grappling advantage. It never happens. It literally never, ever happens. It just never happens, dude. It never, ever happens. You know, it's like, you know, like they almost always, they nullify each other, right? Or one guy maybe gets like a little bit, you know, someone gets a slight advantage in one position. People are all, whoa, that guy's grappling is better. And you're like, I mean, that doesn't necessarily mean it doesn't mean the guy's grappling is better. It means they're both good enough. They essentially nullify each other's skills. Like, you're not, you know, Gilbert Burns is going to dominate, fill in the blank, most fighters in the UFC if they end up on the ground. When he fights Khamzat Chimaev is going to dominate most people on the ground. When he fights Khamzat Chimaev, those two guys stand up and bang it out all night. Colby Covington is going to wrestle fuck most people that he fights. You know, Kamaru Usman is going to wrestle fuck most people that he fights. They fight each other. They stand up the entire time. It almost always, like two amazing grapplers, it almost always cancels themselves out. And when you looked at, I watched Beneil Dariush on the feet, and I saw exactly what it was. I was like, this guy is so simple. Like, he is not doing anything crafty. He's not super, like he's like, I didn't even think he had good striking. I was like, he has decent striking. What is everyone looking? Where is this example of his incredible striking? I don't understand. I don't see it at all. I realize that Charles Oliveira gets hit a lot, but he gets hit by, like, when he's gotten hit by better strikers than Beneil Dariush. That was the other thing. You know what I mean? Like, I'm like, the guys that have been landing on Charles are like Justin Gaethje, better striker than Beneil. You know, Michael Chandler, better striker than Dariush, more explosive, you know, better striker, much more success than Beneil striking. You know, Dustin Poirier, much better striker than Beneil Dariush. Islam Makhachev, much better striker than Beneil Dariush. People still are sleeping on Islam Makhachev striking, even after the Volkanovski fight and the Charles Oliveira fight. It's like, dude, what movie are you watching, man? His striking is like, I don't know if I want to make that comparison. I was going to say Francis' grappling. I haven't seen enough of Francis' grappling to say that. I could say Islam Makhachev's striking is top notch now. What are the two sides of, you know, what are the two sides of a, you know, of a guy's striking attack? It's like, how good are you at landing strikes? How powerful are you at landing strikes? And then how good are you at avoiding getting hit? Islam Makhachev is literally the most successful guy at not getting hit in the entire organization ever since he got knocked out. You know what I mean? In one of the most critical, measurable data points in striking, he's like number one in the entire organization. And now he lands now. Like, it's like so I just didn't see it at all. I did not understand. Like, I just did not understand at all how people thought that this was so obvious that Beneil was going to win. Because you're like, I don't know. He's going to be the first guy that dominates Charles Oliveira on the ground. Ridiculous, dude. Anyway, but if nothing else, you know, and I said this in my video kind of late, it's like, at least if, you know, like I joke around like I'm the only one that called it, even though I was, but like the only reason I'm really proud of that call is just, it just demonstrates the way my brain works, which is like, I am completely immune to peer pressure. I'm just going to tell you what I think all the time. Even if every single person picks the other guy, I'm going to be like, dude, I don't know, man. Like, maybe I'm wrong, but this is what I see. I will always tell you guys what I think. Always. Okay. Chat is talking. You guys are talking about Volkanovski 145. Why are we? Oh, we're talking about Volkanovski and Islam, huh? I am CIA. Yes. How did you know? They're all, you know, it'll be a great cover. Be a combat sports analyst. You think? I do think, man. Think about all the top level elite circles you'll run in. I did drop bread on Nunes and Charles. Well, on Charles, I didn't bet on Nunes. Nunes. I didn't bet on her, but I did think she was going to win. But I did bet Charles. Volk beat Islam. Oh, I didn't even realize that's your name. Volk beat Islam. He didn't, but it was a great fight. It was close enough that Volkanovski, in my opinion, demonstrated he's the number one pound for pound guy in the world. It's like, you know what I mean? It's like, I don't know. It's like, okay, we're trying to figure out who's the best pound for pound fighter in the world, where you got a guy who has completely and totally cleaned out the 145 pound division. He goes up to 155 pounds, fights against a guy who has run through every single person that he's fought. He's like Khabib's, you know, next thing. And then they basically fight pretty close to a stalemate. That's like the definition of pound for pound best in the world. You know, he didn't need to win to demonstrate he's pound. He needed to get that, you know, he needed to be damn near a draw, even though technically Islam did win. You know, I want to see that fight again bad, but first I want to see Charles fight him. And I said it before, and I'm going to say it again. I think it's bullshit, absolute bullshit, to have them fight in Abu Dhabi again. I'm serious. I'm going to say that every time I talk about this, and I will not take it back. I think that if they fight in Abu Dhabi, that is bullshit, because they did it in Abu Dhabi and Islam whipped his ass, right? Now, Islam had to go to Australia to fight Volkanovski, and he barely won that fight. So it's not fair. It's definitely not fair for them to do it in Brazil either. They definitely 100% should not do, they shouldn't do it in either Brazil or Abu Dhabi. It should be neutral territory. Do it in, I don't know, Chicago, New York, Los Angeles, or Las Vegas, wherever. Just not, you know, not somewhere where the crowd is going to be heavily favored in one direction or another. That's not fair. You know, like, this is like, these are the two best guys by a mile, you know? It's just absolutely no comparison. It's like, you know, you have Khabib that beat everyone. You know, you got Khabib beat, but like Khabib got, yes, Miami. Absolutely do it in Miami. Do it in Miami. Because then I can lean on my relationship. I can sit cage side again. But yeah, I mean, you know, like, Khabib beat everyone. And when he retired, Charles was on a 9-fight win streak. And Khabib retired. Charles won a 9-fight win streak, and Khabib retired. And so it was like, all right, well, he didn't beat everyone, obviously, because then Charles ran through every single person except Islam, right? Now, it is impossible not to consider Islam and Khabib, you know, like a tight group. You know, I mean, they obviously have a variation on their styles, but they come from the same camp. People who train at Six Blades, you're going to see all the same techniques. Now, some people will do this technique, that technique, they'll specialize in this, specialize in that. But it's, you train under the same people, train on the same team. They're going to be techniques that they all know. And so Islam and Khabib are obviously very, very, entwined to where when Islam beats Charles, that's like an extension of Khabib. The only person that Khabib didn't beat is Charles. The only person that Charles hadn't beat was Khabib or Islam. Islam beats him, but they're in Abu Dhabi. Fuck that. I guess there's an argument that you could say to do it in Brazil. And then if Charles wins, then you do the third one in neutral territory. But I think that's bullshit because Islam just had to go fight in enemy territory in his last fight. It doesn't that's not fair either. He was in for real enemy territory. Islam was in for real enemy territory. That fight with Volkanovski, that crowd was rabid. That was one of the most engaged crowds I've ever, that might have been the most engaged crowd I've ever seen. Volkanovski had the entire 50,000 people there. I don't know. It was something like, how many people were at that fight? Actually, let me look that up. How many fans were at Volkanovski versus Islam? All right, let's see. Hold on. They were at, where was that at? Okay, hang on. UFC 284 stadium was at, RIC Arena in Perth. Let's see, capacity. Okay, wow, okay. So it's 15,500. Nonetheless, they were all in the palm of Volkanovski's hand. He's riling all of them up. That fight was so awesome just because of that. Just because of that. And Islam still was able to fight him off and won. That's really hard to do. Especially a guy like Volkanovski who feeds on it. He absolutely feeds on it. That fight made me a fan. I had been indifferent to Volkanovski his whole career. I just had never cared. I was even there. I was physically there in the front row when he fought against Korean Zombie. And I still was like, man, he's really good. I still just didn't really care that much, And after that fight against Islam, I'm a fan of. I will never not be rooting for Volkanovski ever again. Just because that was so fun, dude. With his the way that he conjured up the crowd like that. But I mean, this Charles and Islam thing is a separate thing. I mean, you certainly have this set up for a trilogy, obviously, if Charles wins. And I don't know, maybe you do it in Brazil. It doesn't really seem fair to Islam. But if Islam was down to do it, then you do it. If not, you do it in neutral territory. Do it in Vegas. That's a huge fight. You just cannot do it in Abu Dhabi. That's fucking bullshit if they do it in Abu Dhabi. Anyway, so what? Islam won. Why would he need excuses? I'm talking about where to do the fight. Who do I got to win if these fights are announced? You're talking Francis and Fury and all that. I already said that. So so I got Jon Jones in MMA, Fury in boxing. And then the same thing in here's the best way to do it. The most likely way for the opposite person to win would be Ngannou beats Deontay in boxing. And then I think the most likely way that a boxer beats an MMA guy in MMA would be Fury over Ngannou. I don't think there's basically any other chance. There's basically no chance in any of the other ways that you would juggle these. But yeah, someone said something about clickbait. Is this really true? Yes, it's true. They're negotiating. Deontay Wilder and Francis Ngannou's teams are negotiating a 2-fight deal for PFL and boxing to do one in boxing, one in MMA. Francis, I'm sorry, wait, what did I say? Yeah, Francis and Deontay over there, and then Dana is trying to get Tyson Fury to do a UFC fight with Jon Jones, and then after Jon Jones found out about the PFL thing with Deontay and Francis, he said he would also box Tyson Fury in a 2-fight deal if they wanted to do that also. So, ooh, excellent question. Excellent question. I think that Ngannou wins. I think Ngannou wins. Oh, see, back on timeout for you. Wake up. How would that be? The title is Fury and Jones, and Ngannou and Wilder are both in negotiations. It's a race to get the fights made. I'm all, yeah. So PFL, Ngannou and Deontay Wilder's teams are negotiating to do a 2-fight deal. Fury and Jones and the UFC are negotiating to get Tyson Fury into the UFC right now actively. It's clickbait. I'm like, I mean, or it's literally exactly what the title is, you fucking idiot. Anyway, so picking against Jones, the casual take. All right, how's he going to say? So walk me through it then. You know, because I have such a bad record of picking fights lately. Okay, Cyril Gane has 0 grappling. Go watch UFC 270 and watch how Francis grapple fucked him when he had 2 torn ligaments in his knee. Okay, Francis's grappling is 100 times better than Cyril's. 100 times. Go watch his fight against Stipe. Watch his fight against Stipe versus the first time he fought Stipe. I know his team. They said that he's trained insane grappling ever since that first Stipe. It was just 5 years ago. If you think that Jon Jones is just going to come in and just wrestle fuck Francis, you're crazy. That won't happen. So they're going to be on the feet, and Francis is going to starch Jon Jones just like he starches everybody. That is how it goes, in my opinion. What else we got? Yeah, I know. We will never know. It's really sad. Wait, hang on. This is why he ran away? Not a $20 million guarantee. That's not why. He ran away from the UFC because he didn't want to fight Jon Jones. It's like he signed a $20 million guaranteed contract and then he also gets to box. It's like, no, it's because he was scared. You're like, all right. So they offered him 10 million or something like that to fight Jones, and then nothing guaranteed after that unless he was the champion. And then he still would have probably made 5 or 6 for the next fight after that. So like much less money had to beat Jones, or he can have 20 million guaranteed and he can also box before he even fights in MMA. They're all, yep, scared of Jones. You're all right. Genius. Anyway, so yeah, dude, if you think I'm worried about people investigating me, dude, you have not been watching this channel very long. I've spit every secret that I have out on this goddamn channel. There's no secrets anybody could come up with. All right, I'm gonna jump off, but I love you guys. I actually have a video I'm gonna upload literally in about 5 minutes about Conor and his entire man. I think I'm calling it Conor's world is collapsing. Or maybe there's something else going on that I'm gonna reveal in the video. So I'm gonna put that up in a second. All right. Love you guys. Subscribe to the channel if you haven't. Like the video. Peace.